Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. Critical Analytics. War Talk. Sulaiman Rahim, the Master of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. The expected one, the Master of the Covenant, talked about Malachi, who would suddenly come to Elijah's temple. I know you're not hearing this message from anyone else because you have all these pretenders, fakers, liars, deceivers. Most of them are demons. Their purpose is to make sure you never hear, understand this message until it's too late, because you will hear it. And you will understand it. Problem is, when you hear it and when you understand it, where will you be? See, some people don't come to understanding until the fire hits them. See, fire brings its own understanding. Everyone understands fire. It's that in the story of Exodus, when Pharaoh was going down for his last breath, all praise be to Allah. You're the one and true God. See, he got it, but didn't get the time to save his ass. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. See, it's war talk. Because we are at war. But my people do not realize they are at war. They do not realize it. Some say it, but they do not realize it because, as they say, actions speak louder than words. The only person that truly understood that we was at war that I've known in my lifetime is Elijah Muhammad. Because before him, I had no idea. I didn't understand what anybody was talking about. I couldn't listen to anybody more than 2 or 3 minutes. I said, this nothing adds up. See, I have a mathematical mind, and for some reason, I can't exactly say why, but I was able to tap into my spatial mind early on. And that's what drove me. So I guess I'm like an anomaly, what they call anomaly, like exception or something. Because all my people are under the control of the analytical mind. But I got in touch with my spatial mind. And that's what drove me. That's what drove me to look for Elijah Muhammad, because I was always like wandering around the wilderness, looking here, looking there, looking here, looking, I was always studying, trying to figure out stuff, trying to make sense of things. And I never was able to do that until I ran into Muhammad. And everything he said added up. So I knew it was in the right place. But nothing anyone else said added up. And everything was always a mystery. And I realized early on that was a cop-out. Because if you don't know what something is, well, it's invisible. That's not for us to, it's not for us to know. Then why do you have a Bible there? And it's just telling you about stuff that you don't know, that you can't prove, does that make any sense? But yet still your whole life depends on it? Your whole life depends on a book, a map, right? That you don't know where it's going, what's on it, but your whole life depends on you getting to your destination, right? But there's no signals, no instruction on the map, there's no guidance, the orientation, nothing. See? Nothing. No landmarks, anything. No road signs, anything. But your whole life depends on you getting to your direction. Your whole life depends on this Bible. Your eternal soul depends on this Bible that you don't have no idea of who it is, what it is, where it came from, right? Who the characters are, what these stories mean. But your whole eternal life depends on it. Now, if that doesn't shake your mind up, then you are totally locked up in your analytical mind. Because that's what they're telling you. They're telling you that if you don't believe in this, you're going to hell. But where's there to believe in? You believe in angels? Where are they? I don't know. Can't prove them. Prove they exist. Where's devil? I don't know. Can't prove he exists. Where's God? I don't know. You can't prove he exists. Where's heaven? I don't know. Someplace you go after you die. Will anybody ever come back and tell you? No. Where's it? I don't know. Someplace you go after you die. If you don't, will anybody come? No. Where's the? I don't know. But yes, your whole life depends on it. See, this is all the bullshit they fill your head up with, and the only reason why you listen to it because your analytical mind is blocking everything, any truth, any sense, any common sense that might enter your spatial mind. It's blocking it. We're at war, and most of our people, almost all our people, have no idea we're at war. Some say they do, they don't, because as the Quran says, right, if you was going to war, you were prepared for it. If they knew there was a war, they knew it was for a time of unprecedented trouble. I mean, if you knew your house was on fire, would you be sitting around watching TV, scratching your behind, talking BS? You'd be getting your ass out of there. And that's the same thing. If you knew this was time of unprecedented trouble, you would be prepared for it. You found what you need to do. Like Noah, he knew a flood was coming, so he built an ark. Because you don't believe it. Because your actions prove it. Oh, well, maybe. I think I'm going to be careful. Then you don't believe it. Because I ain't going to take any chances. I'm going to pretend. Because, it tells you in Daniel, that's where people be. They said there are people embrace themselves based on blandishment. That means awful caresses. Oh, yeah, man. I'm with you. Yeah, man. Let me check that out. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm down with this. Yeah, man. I got this, man. I'm with you. And right? And then as soon as you ain't looking, man, they're partying, whatever they're doing, right? Got all things in their mind. Because they ain't really with it. But they trying to cover their ass. I mean, that's practical. I mean, if I ain't doing it better, maybe I'll be doing the same thing too. But it's still hypocritical because you're claiming something, or claiming a belief that you don't really have, but you just covering your ass. That's practical. See? I mean, that's better than just not believing at all, because at least maybe, because you kind of, you kind of like, put a little investment out there just in case. What they call a little insurance. That's not going to work in this case. Not going to work at all. See? Because it tells you our people are not going to believe until the four winds blow. And those of you who have any idea what the angel says, the four winds don't blow into the abomination of desolation. And that's what it says at that point in time, right? Said these people are going to be full of wrath. So the wrath be upon these people, and they'll be full of wrath and have a short time. They will come at you with blood-soaked eyes and blood dripping down there because they're out to get rid of you. And that's what it says. It says, "Be time of Jacob's trouble, you delivered out of it. Time of unprecedented trouble. The time they're going to try to annihilate you." That's what it says. They're going to try to annihilate you at that point. So therefore, you have no choice. You will have to unite. And because you're at war then, when somebody come punch you in the face, you're at war, you're in a fight. See? But you see the preparing instead of, oh man, he ain't going to do nothing. See? But by the time he punch you in the face, right, it may be too late because he follow up, right? Before you get your defenses up, you dead. You wiped out. And that's what's happening. And there's nothing I could do to change that because I've tried for 30 years. See? Elijah Muhammad tried. But it said, what? It said the first resurrection, right? It said the first resurrection would have no spirit. You see? So the first resurrection would have no spirit. See? What does that mean? They didn't have the spirit of the times. They didn't understand they was at war. There's where Elijah, they claimed they was with, that's why they was militaristic, uniforms, marching, talking, war talk. But they didn't have the spirit. They was talking it, but they wasn't doing it. Or they looked impressive, but we found out as soon as Elijah Muhammad wasn't around, they fell apart. They came apart like a cheap suit. And they followed a clown, right? That couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag. That's never been tested. The one test he had is when he was supposed to take charge after Elijah Muhammad left. He folded like a cheap suit. Come on. He didn't want a bloodbath. No, he didn't want his blood spilled. That's what he was talking about. Because you mean you don't fight for the truth? So you let somebody take over because you don't want a bloodbath? If that was the case, Prophet Muhammad would never have got anywhere. Oh man, it's going to be a bloodbath. Man, I better not be teaching this Quran. Elijah Muhammad, man, I better not be teaching because it's going to be a bloodbath. You see what I'm saying? How stupid it is? He has a big lying coward. He's always been a coward. So it said this first didn't have the spirit. Had the spirit of the times. Had the spirit of the truth. They didn't have it. They looked impressive from the outside, but there was nothing on the inside because they fell apart. And they're nothing now. It says that they took and became a mockery before the people. Nobody respects them. Nobody respects Farrakhan's FOI. They come in and beat the hell out of one of them and spit on the kick and the sisters and everything. They ain't gonna do nothing about it. They talk. Oh man, did you hear on the news, man? That sister, man, they jumped on her and beat her up. That's what they're talking about. They ain't gonna go up and do anything about it. Nothing. They haven't done anything in 40-some years and never will. Because they had no spirit. That says the first resurrection had no spirit, but the second one did. Why? Because they was forced to. Because they came under fire, real fire. See, like Muhammad was trying to prepare you for this. He's trying to prepare you for the message of the covenant. Because it says Joshua would be a warrior priest. He wouldn't just be a high priest, he'd be a warrior priest. And when you see him, he's talking war 24/7. You don't see him talking about anything else but war 24/7. He's been telling you about wars coming and trying to prepare you, right? 24/7 for 30 years. He's been all kinds of situations. They said they would do to him like they wanted to do with him. Threw him in jail, imprisoned him, put him on trial, right? Took everything he had, right? Tried to kill him and everything else. None of those things that happened to Minister Farrakhan. I said he was disemboweled because he's a coward. He's a hypocrite. That's a punishment reserved for a hypocrite. These are the things that, so if he's going to lead, he's got to be exempt what he's leading. Because they tell you, it says, if you want to follow him, you got to give up your parents, your love father. If you love them more, you love him. See, and that, ooh. What they're trying to tell you is, right, is that what he had to give up? To lead. And if you want to follow in his footsteps, that's what you have to do. But I never called anybody to do that. Because I know I wouldn't get anywhere anyway doing it, because they got the analytical mind going. See, they've been told what to do for 400-some years. So now God and the high priest comes along and tell them, we don't want to tell you what to do. You're God. But, so now, that's because they didn't want it. So now they're free. But they don't want to be free because they want you to tell them what to do. They secretly still want you to tell them what to do because they still operate the analytical mind. So they want you to tell them what to do. And then we tell them, they get mad. You see, that's the analytical mind working. You try to tell, you try to give them examples, lead, teach, right? Not control, not dictate, right? Lead by example, not do as I say do, don't do as I do. But no, he said example and lead, right? See? and teach. See? But they claim that's what they want. That's not what they want. They want to be told. And you don't want to do it because it says in Christ all men are free. In Christ all men are free. Somebody will make all men free, but they don't want to be free. They want somebody to tell them what to do. And then when you tell them what to do, they get mad. See, so you tell them, brother, we're at war. We're at war. And here are the weapons. The most powerful weapon, right, is the word. It tells you. It said, when Suleiman come, right, his sword, right, his mouth, his tongue would be a sword, a sharp two-edged sword. That's the most powerful weapon. So he tried to give him the weapon, tell him how to use it. Man, see? Let me look at that weapon, but they don't want it. Because they don't really believe in war. And then if you give it to them and try to tell them how to use it, then they don't want you to tell them how to use it. See? Get all personal, and because that's the analytical mind. Original people don't act like that. They don't get personal because they realize we want all one body. If you take your heart cells, start getting personal, right? So then, right? Because it has to be in sync with the lung cell. It has to be in sync with the brain cell. If they're not in sync, if you want to take anything personal, you know what they call that? Cancer. When all work together, all alive and all are healthy, when they start being so-called individuals, like the analytical mind teaches you, right? That's cancer. It kills the whole body. So, and now they want to be personal, so it brings down the whole body, takes them down with it. Because if my heart start getting crazy, it's going to take the body down, but it's going to take the lungs and everything, and it's going to go down too. It's going to take everything down, including itself. Which is stupid, but that makes sense to the analytical mind. Oh man, I got to do my own thing. See? Don't tell me nothing. Even though they don't know anything. Don't tell me nothing. See? I don't want to hear that. Because the first thing they get reactive. Oh man, where's that coming from? So you can't teach. So remain ignorant, like it says, my people are lost for lack of knowledge. That's the analytical mind at work. So what you going to do? But we're at war. Let's go and move a little further. I'm going to show got a couple of examples here, at least one anyway. So let me make a little short move here. Let me see that well. Leave it like that. This is called a compiler. That's the way computers work, and your mind works that way too. Because see, they model the computer. See, like Elijah Muhammad said, they model everything they do after our creation. I told you they get ideas from us from the spatial mind, because we have a spatial creation. Elijah Muhammad told you that. You know, message to the black man. He says, they get the ideas, they model out, just like he said, he says, they came in a car looking at a buggy, looking at bugs. That's why I call it buggy originally. So they model that computer system after our brains. See? So they know we have an analytical and spatial side. In fact, Time magazine, many years ago, back in the 60s, I think it was, maybe early 70s, maybe you can get it. They put an article, I don't know if you have far to go back in the archives, but they put a whole article about the analytical and spatial side of the brain. And they admitted the Western people, they didn't want to say Caucasian specifically, but the Western mind, they said, is mostly analytical. It said Eastern mind, talking about us, the original people, right? They're mostly spatial. That's what they said. See? But in their minds, the analytical is dominant. A lot of characterizations they make when they show you, when they give you diagrams about it and says, well, this is emotional, that kind of stuff. A lot of that stuff is not untrue because they want to make the things they think is important. They want to attribute that to the analytical side. But it's not true. See, because the analytical side is more emotional than the spatial side. We see them, and they're very emotional people. So they switch it around and say, well, that's the spatial people, they mostly emotional. It's not true. So be aware of that. So I'm giving you an example here. See that blue thing there? That's a compiler. And say, brain, that's a computer. See? So what happens is that they program that compiler, right? So it's a program too. It has software in it that says check the information is coming in. It's like when you're on Facebook, right? As soon as you type something in, they check it. And, oh man, this is against community standards. Shut you down because they got something checking everything you type in before they actually let it post. See? So it's the same concept. So the computer's that thing, a compiler, and so if you got information in the computer, and then the computer computes the information. They call it data, information data. Right? So it checks before it allows it to get in there. Because once it gets in there, the computer just compute. That's what say garbage in, garbage out. If data ain't going in, it's garbage, then it's going to come out garbage. Because the computer, all it's going to do is analyze what you gave it. It's going to calculate it. It doesn't really analyze it, it calculates it. The compiler usually does an analysis, but the computer only just calculate. It's just like a calculator, right? You say 5 times 5, it come out 25. They don't think about it, just do the calculation. That's what a computer does. But you have that compiler, that screen, it screens information come in, they even go into it. And that's why our brains work. But see, in our case, the analytical brain, because 90% of our brain is spatial, 10% of our brain is analytical. And analytical is the compiler part. That's the part of the screen, anything that gets to the spatial. That's the outside you see the dark side outside. This not excuse me, brothers and sisters. This is not actually, this is not actually what it is. It's basic, right? It's a good analogy, but that's basically what it is, right? So the thing is that before you start thinking, you growing up, you start thinking, right? Your family, your mother, your father, whatever, they have control of your compiler. See? So by the time you get to the point where you can start thinking things through, your compiler is already built. See? Oh, Islam is wrong. You see? Shiism is wrong. See? Women cause all the trouble in the world. For Adam and Eve, man, she brought sin to the world. See? Black people are weak. They're slow. They're stupid. They deserve to be enslaved. They was cursed to be enslaved. You get the picture? All that's built in that compiler. So by the time you get to thinking, what you can think, so you screen out information. Oh man, you're a Christian. I ain't listening to that Muslim talk about because you already told us wrong. The compiler's going to reject it. So it ain't going to get into the brain. It ain't going to get in there. You're blocking all that stuff. Only thing you don't get in is the compiler. Let's get in. What your mother and father told you is kosher that you can accept. That's already built. And you don't even realize it. So you got all these biases that somebody set up for you that's controlling your thinking process. And Master had 465 years to build that compiler for you. So therefore, your parents are operating that compiler. So therefore, now they can program the compiler with the information they got. So they doing Master's work. You say, oh, mom and dad told me. Yeah, but mom and dad is around with that handicap. Because their brains only operate on what master allowed to get into their brain. So now they're telling you, right, oh, Christianity is what enslaved us. It's what beat us and raped us and destroyed us. Capitalism is what just took all energy from us for 464 years in slavery. That was capitalism, taking all the energy we had and giving it to them for their purposes. But now you embracing all that stuff. Why? Because Master told you to embrace it. Because why? Because so you continue producing for him. You continue producing for him. Because you're his slave. So therefore, he's got control of your mind. And so now he's telling your mind what to do so you can continue maintain control. So he's already compiled, he's already trained your mind like that. And so he don't have to do it anymore. Because now it's self-replicating. Because now your mother and father's doing it for him. It says only Suleiman could break that cycle. It says, I do what I would not do. That's what it says. It says, who can stop me from doing things? I do things I would not do. Because you do it's against your nature. Your nature's fighting against it, but you don't know what to do about it because there's something's wrong here. But your power's telling you no, that. But your conscience tells you something's wrong. See? But you never penetrate that far. You never let anything true to figure that mess out. So now you walk around in conflict all your life. And that's the state our people in right now. And that's what Suleiman had to do. He had to break through that dumb barrier. And so the only way he can do it, he has to speak to you analytically. Because, first of all, he has to speak the language of that compiler. And then present it in a way that slips through that compiler. Undetected. See? So it slips into your spatial brain. Because once he turned the key, get it active, right? Then it will turn back and then it will examine that compiler. See, most of you, all of you have never examined, you don't even know a compiler exists. Because all you know is that you got these biases, that you got these ideas, you never challenged them. You never went back and look and see where this come from. And some of it's so obvious. I mean, why would you accept anything from somebody that's been raping, beating you, torturing you for 464 years? And especially, why would you accept their religion? I mean, if they know this righteous God, how are they acting like this evil devil? If they're angels, why are they acting like beasts? If they worship an angelic God, why are they acting like a beast God? So you never question that. Because the analytical mind tells you don't question it. See, like a pilot said, no, they got you. See? And so, your spatial mind, in fact, you're handicapped because they're reversed. They're 90% analytical. That means they got 90% of their brain, right, fighting against 10% of your brain. Who's going to win that battle? If I'm 10 times stronger than you, how the hell are you going to defeat me? So you walk around handicapped. You only got 10% of your brain operating. They got 9% of theirs operating. That's why they're beating you all the time. And the 10% you got operating, right, you're not even using it to fight back. You're using it for their purposes. To make them stronger. And you don't see any of that. You don't understand any of that. See? And that's one of the things that happened to me in my life. See? Because I was going along and nothing ever added up to me. Everything had to add up to me. Like I said, I was a mathematical mind. If it didn't add up, I said, I just had to add up. I couldn't ever accept anything that somebody said. I just couldn't accept it. That's why I was studying. I was figuring stuff. And I was going to the library. And back then, when you went to the library, they had a lot more truth in the library than they have now. Because I read this book about genetics when I was about like 12 years old. And then they tell you that the black gene was dominant. It said in clear language. Now you go in there, oh, it's calculus, they got all kinds of derivatives, all kinds of stuff, and you got to be a mathematician to read what they said very simply back what? That was about 60 years ago. Because when you start talking about you want to get education, they had to go in and work with that. So by the time I got to the military, right, I had a confrontation, which made me really look into this. Because they told me I had to go to the, what they call those people? I was a chaplain. No, they wanted me, I had to go to church. And see, my mother, a Baptist, she was all in it. Father he was reluctant, but he would take us, right? And I had problems even then because they kicked me out of Sunday school because I kept asking questions, stuff didn't add up. Why is Jesus up there? Why is he white? I don't see it. All I see is white lambs and white Jesus. And they finally threw me out of Sunday school. It just didn't add up. This my mother she passed when I was 9 years old. But that's where I was back then. It had to add up just to make no sense to me. And I'd ask questions, they liked the question I was asking. See? Like my father, because after my mother passed, he never took us back to church anymore. And then I found I remember he took me to Elijah Muhammad's temple, right? When I was about 13, he passed when I was 14. I had no idea. We lived on a block, literally 1 block away from it. Right? Because I used to pass all the time. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like a church or something. He took me in there. I had no idea what was going on. Right? All I remember is that the minister at the time, right, he said that Wolf Armageddon would take place in 1970. Either 1970 or the 70s. Right? So this was like 62. I remember that. So Elijah Muhammad taught that. Right? But that didn't happen. So they're going to see, they back off of that now. I'm not taking anything from Elijah Muhammad. So I didn't know what was going on. I know things started changing, right? And then he passed away a year later, right? And I had no idea what that's about. I mean, I still had no idea what he was doing, what that temple was about. I had no idea what a Muslim was. I had no idea what a Quran was or anything. I didn't know anything about any of that, right? And I'm gonna get to the main point here, but said when I did, right, finally, coming years later, right, 1970, I got my exit in 1970 under Minister James Sabas, right, I found that's what my father was doing. He was processing. I don't know how far he got. I don't know if he got his ex or what. I don't know. See, my aunt told me. My aunt told me, said, you doing the same thing your father was doing. He's over there with them Muslims. See, because she wasn't going to tell me. She would never have told me. Anyway, so I had this confrontation, and I wasn't going to church because I was through with church anyway. But I was reading the Bible. I had no parents or anything, and I said I need some guidance because everybody that told me anything always told me wrong. It never added up, and I couldn't find anything. I didn't know what to do. I mean, my father passed at 14. I was about the dumbest person on the planet because I didn't know anything. I knew nothing. I had no idea where to go. Had nobody to look out for me. I was on my own. I was staying with my aunt. She didn't give a damn about us all. She wanted that money they was getting from the state. I had no idea what to do. I had no vision, anything. All I had is these little visions I used to have when I was growing up. When I was small. So I said, well, I grabbed the Bible. I said, well, I'm going to follow. I didn't know what those things were saying, but I was going to follow the rules they had in there, don't eat pork, don't do this, do that. I was going to follow those, see where it took me. Right, so I started eating pork and that kind of stuff. I ran a lot of flack behind that. So they told me I got to go. I said, I'm not going. Wait till they were going to force me to. I said, I'm not going. So I started looking. I said, what the hell is all this about? That's maybe, right? So I started looking. And I started looking. I started trying to analyze everything that I believed in, because I believe in a lot of stuff, right? Based on what I've been told, because I was 17 years old. I mean, you got all the information, you got to believe in something, right? I mean, he has ideas about things, right? So I said, let me examine all this stuff. So I said, first of all, I'm going to reject everything everybody's ever told me. Everything everybody's ever told my life, I'm going to reject it all. I'm not going to accept anything. I'm not going to accept anything as a truth unless I can prove it. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I damn near had a nervous breakdown because I realized I couldn't prove anything. Everything I knew, I was just believing it because somebody told me. I had no idea it was right or wrong. So I pretty much emptied out my whole mind. I reject the Bible too, everything, all of it. So I was like walking around empty-headed like somebody had total amnesia. And it almost had nervous breakdowns, right? And that's what I started doing. And then slowly, right, one thing at a time, I said, okay, I couldn't prove exactly, but if it made sense, right? At that point, if it made sense, it had to make sense, add up. I started on that road. And then that led me back to the Bible again, right? To a point. I started looking at certain things, but I would look at, I would look at it carefully, try to put it in perspective, right? And I started realizing that, a lot of things that I learned from Elijah Muhammad, I was always realizing before I even got there to meet him. So what I'm saying is that I went through that process of rejecting that compiler. Which none of you have ever done. Because you didn't realize there was a compiler. I didn't know it was a compiler either. I didn't know that, I didn't know this science. I just knew I had to reject everything, right? But then when I understood it, I knew, then I realized what I was doing. I was rejecting that compiler, and I was building my own compiler. My compiler was going to accept any information that was not based on what somebody told me. My compiler was going to be based on mathematics, had to be proven. I built my own compiler. See? And that's what I'm trying to do with all of you. I'm trying to take and get and trying to disable that compiler and get you to build a mathematical compiler. See? Disable that analytical mind, right? See? And start taking information that spatial mind. Now, any information, because if you disable that analytical mind, you take any information, you haven't profit. You haven't done anything. The angel, once we penetrate the analytical mind, then it says you have to be giving your mind back. The Bible says, if the Bible says you have to be giving your mind back, if the Bible says in Mark that the demon-possessed man had to give his mind back, and Daniel, the lion had to give his mind back, right? Then has anyone given your mind back? It hasn't. You don't have one. They said you had a beast mind. The man in Mark, he had a beast mind. He was demon-possessed, and Dan had a beast mind. That means you got a beast mind. You're operating on an analytical mind. And my shouting is not going to change that. And you're not going to hear, look at how he look. See, he ain't white. See, he wearing a funny hat. Man, glad he not a suit and tie. He's old. That's the analytical mind working. Because the analytical mind, first thing, eyes, it goes by the eyes. The first thing, if it doesn't like what it sees, so in other words, that's why, part of the reason why, that wasn't only the main reason why Master Muhammad has complexity, it wasn't because of, that has something to do with what Elijah Muhammad said. But the main thing is he wouldn't suffer energy deprivation. I'm not going into that detail. But the other thing is, right, because black folks probably wouldn't have received him if he came with black tone. Because analytical mind was designed not to listen to anybody that's black. And your analytical mind is doing that right now. Because if I was white, I would have much more attention than I have now. A lot more. See? If I went out there and bleached my skin and turned it white, believe me, I'd have 1,000 times more interest than I do right now. I'm not going to do all of that. That's the problem. The analytical mind that's got you under control, that's controlled by your enemy. and perpetuated by your parents because they had the same analytical mind problem that you have, and so all you have to step back and let them program you, because you know they're gonna program you the way they was programmed. So now you walking around, right? My name is Mr. Johnson. See, my name is Mr. Brown. My name is Jameson. That was your slave master's name. They beat you, they tortured you, they killed your parents, they raped you and everything else. And they gave you that name, they forced that name on you, took your good name from you, forced that name on you as a sign of ownership. That was the purpose of it, to show they own you. So when you walked around and when they catch you, they said, "What's your name?" "Well, my name is Andy Black." "Oh, that means you owned by Mr. Black, Slave Master Black." And you still walking around them damn names? That show your mind's all effed up. Why would you do that? Like coming out of prison and they give you a number in prison. "Well, my prison name is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you get out of prison. "What's your name?" "My name is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? Why are you still walking around that prison name? That's the situation our people are in. And me of all people, they give me I got this job of penetrating and analytical. Because I look at my past, people think, "Oh, he's upset about it. I'm not complaining. Well, I'm a little upset. I ain't gonna deny that. But I look back and I say all the different things happened in my life, and some terrible things happened. But then I look back and I tell people, I says, don't curse the path that got you here, because I realized all those things was lessons to prepare me for this. Because I had no idea I'd be doing anything like this. I mean, this is like, oh, I can't. See? And I look at myself and I said, how do I know all this stuff? Well, that's what I've been doing, study. I was studying before I met Elijah Muhammad. By the time I met Elijah Muhammad, I was good in history. I was good in math. So all those things, all the experiences, bad and otherwise, right? Most of them bad, right? But I learned from those experiences. And I always say, the only bad experience is one you don't learn from. I learned from all of them, because I was always, if I saw, no matter, always was looking to improve myself. See? So when somebody criticized me, my first reaction is what they saying is right or wrong, not who the person is. A devil can criticize me. And most times they're right, because the people that don't like you is the people that probably get the best criticism, because they're going to tell you what they really see, because they ain't worried about your feelings. In fact, they're trying to hurt your feelings. That's the situation. So I deal with people all the time. Now, in this situation, and that's something that's totally against my nature, because I don't like dealing with people. It's not that I don't like people. I love my people. It's just I'm a hermit by nature. And Elijah Muhammad said, I don't know if he's talking about all the scientists or one particular scientist or whatever, but he said to God, right? He's a hermit. He says he kept himself hidden from the general public for trillions of years. I mean, if that's not a hermit, what is it? See? But it's kind of lonely too, because who you want to talk to? I've never met anybody I could really talk to. Elijah Muhammad, probably I never, he's like, but talk somebody like really mathematics and pressure and really get into it. I never met anybody I could do that with. Have any idea what I'm talking about? See? Not that we don't have the capacity. Our people definitely have the capacity. They got 90% of that power that's untapped. 90% all that spatial power that's used to create this whole universe is untapped, is lying dormant. Slave masters turn it off, right? He's turning it off and you don't even know you have it. See? It's like you're naturally right-handed, but he's got your right hand bound behind your back, and you got to use your left hand, and they're all left-handed. So they're whooping your ass all the time because your left hand, that's the weak one, that's the only one you can use, right? But their left hand is their powerful one, and so they're always whooping you with it, as long as they keep your left hand. But if they unleash your right hand, that's trouble. That's the situation, brothers and sisters. And I'm dealing with people, right? Like I said, those are elevated places. Who do you think talking about in the Quran? Those are elevated places, know all by their marks. So if the messenger of the covenant, Suleiman is not one of the elevated places, then who is he? That means he knows, he recognizes what you're doing, who you are. Just because he don't say anything, because he's not here to condemn his people. He's not here to judge his people. Or he's going to judge them, but not in that sense. He's going to judge them in the sense he's going to separate the demons away from them, and the hypocrites and the vipers. But he said he came to save his people, to redeem his people, not to criticize, destroy his people. So you won't find me doing that. But those that's out here to hurt our people, to exploit our people, to harm our people, they will be. See? But then there's a lot of people, there's not a lot, but there's some over the years been called, right, to assist, and they failed. For all kinds, because the analytical mind got control of them. Got proud. Don't tell me nothing. Oh, I wasn't trying to tell you that. I was trying to show you, brother. See? Trying to show you how to be effective. Hey, man, I know how. Okay. Analytical mind. I'm fighting the analytical mind. And I can't take time to be arguing with these people. Because if I do that, that means it distract me from doing what I'm doing. And I've been doing it for 30-some years, and without fail, no matter what. I've been under every kind of situation you can think of. I don't stop. And this is not what I asked to do. But I gave my words I would do it. See? And when you give your word, as we're taught by Elijah Muhammad, right? You give your word. If you give your word, I will give. See, my word is bond. My word is bond, and bond is life. And I will give my life before my word will fail. So if you say you're going to do something, I don't care what it is, I don't know how minor it is. If you say you're going to do it or don't. Don't give the word. But if you give your word, you commit to do it. Otherwise, you have no word. And you'll be judged based on your word. I can't get people to understand these things. Because they're going to run to judgment. It's like some of us going to run to judgment. It's like running to, like these people ran that COVID wall at 2,020 miles per hour. Some of you are going to run into judgment like that, crash right into it. Because you're not paying attention. See? Because you will be judged by your word. Our people mostly will be judged by their word. Not by the things that happen here. Because your words is what takes you into the hereafter. That's taking you hereafter. See? Not all the stuff you've done here, because this stuff is made in America. But your word is who you are. If you have no word, you're nothing. You know, a devil with a word has more chance to get to the hereafter than an original person that doesn't have a word. So what is that? Because if he got a proven word, then he can say, I submit, I will obey. So how can you argue with that one? He gave his word. He's going to do it. Whether, no matter what is against him or whatever, he's going to do it. Might be against his nature, but he said he's going to do it. And so you have proven, his word has been proven, right? So, you know, it's been tested and proven, right? So therefore, he has more chance of getting to heaven in paradise than one come along, he don't have no word, you can't trust anything he says, you can't trust him. That's what I say, your word is bond and bond is life. The first thing they tell you when you come to FOI, your word is bond and bond is life, and you give your life for your word will fail. If you're going to do something, you do it. No matter what, nothing. And anybody knows me, that's an actual fact I live by, that I always have. See? My analytical mind tells you, hey, don't worry about that. See? Because, hey, no matter what you do, it's up to, all you got to do is believe in Jesus. But you got to get a word about that too, don't you? You got to get your word that you're going to believe in Jesus. But the point is, you judge a person by his word. Have no word, you can't trust him. See? You judge a man by his word. You say, oh, no, it ain't no small situation, right? Say, well, I'll be there at 3:00. Then you show up at 3:15. Oh, that wasn't. No, that's not. No, you didn't keep your word. Well, it was traffic. Well, then you should have left 15 minutes early. See, people understand Elijah Muhammad. He tell you there were no excuses with law books of Islam. Excuse not accepted. That's the analytical mind make excuses. You're the God. Everything you look out in the creation, you see anything failing out there? You see any imperfections out there? Because that's our nature. So if you can't keep your word, then maybe you're a demon. See, you corrupt somehow. Somehow you're failing. See, people don't tell you about that one lesson about Elijah Muhammad talked about. They call him the tyrant. See, they don't talk about that one. Farrakhan don't talk about that one. You don't hear anybody talking about that one. He says a lot of people are going to end up under. See, because they don't want Suleiman. They don't want to be free and independent under Suleiman. See, we're free and independent, but not. See, you think independence like, oh, you do. No, you're independent in the sense that you follow your nature. In other words, a heart cell is independent because it's doing its duty as a heart cell. It's in sync with other heart cells. You think independence like, oh, I don't be any side. I do anything I want to do. That means that's cancer. That's what devils teach you, and that's not correct. That's what they teach you, so you think, so you don't listen to anybody. So there's no unity. There can be no unity because you tell, man, I'm not be a heart cell. I want to be a lung cell today. See, that's what I tell you right now. See, I feel like I'm a woman. I feel like See, that's the same. That's where it leads. That kind of thinking leads to. We have to be in sync. And you don't want to be in sync. Because we have to work together. See? Heart cell has to do its function. Brain cell has to do its function. See? But they have you think you're independent, so nobody can tell you anything. See? So you got a God that's telling you you're independent. Right? Freeing you, because it says in Christ all men are free. Because you're free to be your nature. You're free to act upon your nature. So if you're a heart cell, you're free to be a heart cell. Because in this society, right, that's not the way it works. You grow up, they tell you, okay, master tells you he wants you to do this. He wants whatever you do, you want. So if you're a heart cell, he don't care. He wants you to go over here and be a liver cell. So your whole nature's all messed. That's why we destroyed by demons and plagued by demons. Because you can't be on. If you want to be a musician, that's in your heart to be that. Even right now, you can't go out and say, oh no, you got to work at McDonald's or whatever till you get enough money so you can go to school and be a musician. Then you got to go through all other kinds of stuff, right? So you don't start out because in our kingdom, see, if that's your nature to be a musician, you're gonna start out being a musician. You be trained everything to be just exactly what you are. But we're talking about this tyrant. Now what it said is you got a lot of these black folks, they ain't listening. So it says, they will make it hereafter, but they will make it here under the tyrant. Because they don't want freedom, they don't want Suleiman, because they said he came to make you free. But they don't want they're still locked into the analytical mind, you just can't break it. So he says they begin with the tyrant. And it says the tyrant, he'd be in slavery under this tyrant. The messenger talked about him. It says our people said they won't be put in the hell as devils be put in. They're put in under this tyrant, right? They'd be enslaved under this tyrant. And says their children would be allowed to come out of that. Their children be examined. And if they meet the criteria, in other words, if whatever education process, whatever's going on, if they was able to penetrate that analytical, get spatial, they would be allowed to come out and join everybody else, but they would be marked. They'd be tattooed on their head that they were children of those rebellious ones that just wouldn't listen. So they're gonna make it hereafter, but they're gonna be in that situation. And like I said, children be allowed to come out of it. They won't be. Their children will be, but they'll be examined. And if they meet the criteria, then they will be allowed to, but they'll be marked perpetually, and their children will be marked perpetually forever. So the children have a step, and they will bear that mark or forever. That's what Elijah Muhammad taught. That's what it taught. Is that the group they're talking about, everlasting life and everlasting shame and appallment? See? Because I teach you that there's two groups. The ones that go into destruction and the ones, but think about that. It says everlasting shame and appallment. Isn't that group they're talking about too? Isn't that including that group? Because that's everlasting shame and appallment. That means they're going to be shamed all everlasting. All their seed, all the way down to the end of time, will bear that mark, right? Because this is a powerful truth here. And you have to ask yourself, even if your brain is locked down, damn. Some of this stuff is so simple. Wow, how can these people deceive by fire coming? That's so obvious. It's right there. Read Exodus. How can you go wrong? Everything in there tells reeks of BS on that dog. But after Elijah Muhammad, they were deceived by that. You understand, brothers and sisters? See? Then you got those, right, that excelled. He said they were sitting on the thrones. See, there's 12 thrones. They said, like 12 disciples said, they would sit on thrones with Suleiman. And there'd be thrones under them. Because we're going to have a society, right? It's not going to be a democracy, but nobody's going to tell you what to do, because the point is that everybody's working together. Do you tell your heart cell what to do? You tell your lung cell what to do? No, because they're doing their own thing, and they're happy doing it, and everybody's working together. That's the mindset we're trying to get you to get back to be yourself. Because once you be yourself, right, then you are free. Because we want you to be yourself. The problem is you're not being yourself. You don't know how to be yourself. We're trying to free you to be yourself. Because how can you be unhappy if you're being yourself? And if that's we encourage you to be yourself and we're allowing you to be yourself, isn't that total freedom? Isn't that the real freedom? Because you're not being yourself here. Or you start out with a dream. Did you ever achieve your dream? Did anybody help you try to achieve your dream? Did they make a path for you to achieve your dream? Does anybody do that? No, if you achieve your dream at all, it was a hard fight to get to it. By the time you got to it, right, you may be too old to even benefit from your dream. You don't even understand what true freedom is. So you got Master Muhammad here, your God, here to free you. You got Suleiman here to give you thorough knowledge of self, so you will be free. And then you don't want the tyrant, and you don't even realize it. I don't want to tell me that. I don't want to hear that. You try to give me, I don't want to hear that. That's the analytical mind working. See? You give me the angel. Oh man, well. See? This how you represent it. Take all indignant. See? And our people out here, because if you have knowledge of the angel, that means, right? That means you was raised, right, to help deliver the message. So if you're not doing that, what it says about the civilized, what does the message, these are talk about the civilized duty is to teach uncivilized. And so Elijah Muhammad said, if you give them truth and you don't tell the truth, then you should never been given the truth. It says, who is given, much expected. But you give it and you ain't doing anything with it. And then somebody tries to explain to you, because tell you how to do it, you don't want to. And tell you how to be effective, you don't want to hear that. See? So you give you a weapon, you don't want to tell you, I don't want to use that weapon. I don't want to use that away. It's analytical mind. That's what Suleiman's got to fight. I ask myself a lot of times, how could they expect one person to deal with all this stuff? Especially someone that didn't want to do it to begin with. They're not trying to lift themselves. I've never tried to lift myself up, ever. I'm not even doing it now. I'm not asking anybody to worship me or give me anything. I'm not like Farrakhan. Man, I'm the anointed. I'm all this. I'm all that kind of stuff, right? And things that I'm stating. Well, I'm stating on because it's right there in the angel. I mean, it's there. And partly the reason why I do certain things I do because it's my job to get our people back to understanding what respect is and the proper way to respect things. I mean, because we respect things that don't deserve respect. So if you don't respect the angel, that's your mind, then what the hell are you going to respect? That's your mind restored to you. You got to respect that, and you got to respect, the method of that giving that mind back to you. If you don't respect that, so it's got to bring our people back to a sense of respect, put everything in right perspective. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I look at because that's what I said. Our people is dead. Lazarus. And you asked me, I said, man, why you send one person? You should send a whole damn army with the job that has to be done here. But that's not. It is what it is. So apparently, they have more faith in me than I have in myself because they figure I can do it. Because I would never thought I could do anything like this. I never had it. It came into my mind I'd ever do anything like this here, and to do and I can definitely appreciate what Elijah Muhammad had to go through, and he had help. But it says Suleiman would walk, right, the vineyard by what he said, he would walk it by himself alone. So understand, brothers and sisters, we are at war. We are at war. Come on here. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to pretty much wrap this up. Hold on for a second here. So as I was saying, our people are at war. See? And most of you are not going to understand that until they come to cut your throat, and they're coming. See? And I'm working hard, brothers and sisters, to prime this pump. See? Prime this pump. So you be ready. Because it says, O Suleiman, when you're ready, your people will be ready. And you'll be ready at the nick of time. It tells you the situation and why. It says, we'll be rescued at the time of Jacob's trouble. That's the time it tells you about Abraham when he's about to plunge the knife right into his son's heart. That's us. He was plunging. I mean, he wasn't hesitating. He was getting ready. He wasn't getting ready. He was plunging into his son's heart, and Fra caught him, just as it was piercing his skin. Not a second too soon. And so that's the way it's going to happen. Why? Because Suleiman walked the vineyard by alone. He couldn't get the help he needed, right? To prevent from being that close. That's how close it's going to be. And it's the only reason that close because you're not going to wake up because what Suleiman teaching you. He's priming the pump because you're not listening. That's why. Because it says you're not going to do it until the four winds blow, and when the four winds blow, and they're blowing that time, they're coming to destroy you. That's what it says. At the time they're trying to take you out, right? That's the time the four winds are going to blow. So you're not going to wake up until they actually try to take you out. See? And then you're prepared to listen to Suleiman. See, we trying to, I was in the process, I took some time to try to set it up so, maybe we can alert you, get you to wake up a little earlier to be prepared, because in that process, a lot of you be lost. I said when you flee, remember it says flee. But you think everybody fled? It says don't waste your time, you got to go. You think everybody, because remember that's the time that he's prophesied to the four winds. He's prophesied to the four winds. That's time he resurrected. So why is he prophesying the four winds? The four winds was blowing to come and tear his country apart. Why? Because they're about to destroy you. So that means at the time that's so close. That's why it's telling you. You get the picture. They're closing it. The point is the only thing that's stopping. The whole thing is dependent upon false Israel being taken down. And this lie is holding up this whole society, this whole reality, right? It comes crumbling down instantly, come crashing down. And it takes about a moment to recalculate that you're the true seed of Abraham and what that really means. And then they come to destroy you. At that point, right? That's the point, right? Where you're going to start understanding. But that's the point where Suleiman's talking to you. And then even then, you're still hesitating. So he's got a process. So he's prophesied to the four winds. See, because you see, false Israel, right? As she's not taken down yet, false Israel being surrounded, under siege. So the whole world is perplexed. When it was about to happen, most of them thinking that it's for them. But when they start to see it's coming down, that's when they're going to calculate. And so when you see the abomination of desolation, that means flee. But first you have to recognize what it is. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm doing my job right now, trying to make you see what it is. Because right now you don't believe it, but still in all, you're still hearing it. The information is out there. But you don't believe it. But you're hearing it. You understand? So it's going to make sense to you when you see false Israel, something happen that you believe that it's not going to happen, that this guy was a fool, he don't know what he's talking about. But when you say, damn, he was right. That was supposed, he was right. And then they come breathing, that's when you want to flee. But a lot of you, right, going to hesitate. Remember Lot's wife, they going to hesitate. And a lot of you, because you didn't hear it, you don't know what to do. All you know is they're coming after you. You have no idea what's going on. And those you lost because of lack of knowledge. Because those that knew better wasn't telling you anything. Spread that information. And their blood is on their hands. See, I was trying to prepare them. Hopefully, we can minimize that loss. But I'm dealing with, you got to do it with analytical mind. Oh, well, all other personal, sensitivities, emotions, all that stuff. I can't deal with that. Because that just slows me down. I can't do that because I got to keep on getting this information out there. Because it says, this gospel, we preach all the world, then the end will come. Got to get information out to you. See how close this thing is going to be, brothers and sisters? So some are going to be lost. Some are just going to make it out just in a knack of time. Some are going to be in the process of getting out and they're going to get caught. So the only difference in there is how much information was out there That's going to determine how many get through that process. And I've been trying to get more, expand my voice through other people. Hopefully we can get a broader, more information out there. But I'm dealing with all other kind of stuff. See? Because they don't realize we're at war. If they realize war, they'll be militaristic. How can I help? What can I do? What's the way to do it? That's the attitude I would be getting. And I'm getting that attitude from, some people, but some people I'm not. Resistance, all personalities, all this kind of stuff. And it's hurting our people. And I can't let myself be bogged down with that, because then that, because that's hurting. Because I'm bad doing their job. Because I should be getting information out there. I'm not doing it because I'm messing around with a lot of BS. So I'm trying to put all this all together, brothers and sisters. You got to pull these stories together. It says it's going to be saved at the neck of time. Time is of the essence. So we can minimize that by getting information out there so they can recognize. Because remember, you got to put these things together, brothers and sisters. Before you can react to the bomb of desolation, you have to know what it is. And nobody knew what it is before I explained it. So now I got to get some information out to everybody. I'm only one person by myself. If I got to deal with people, oh man, well, why you this and why all kind of stuff, I ain't got time for that. I'm trying to save our people. Damn it, don't you understand? We're at war. I'm trying to save my people. I'm trying to understand get you to understand what the situation is. It's critical. It's a matter of time. It's timing. You have to recognize what the abomination of desolation is before you can react to it. Because if you don't know, then you won't react. And it says, you got to figure, you ain't got time to go back and get your baby. I ain't got time for this BS. Don't have time for it. Because it's costing our people's lives. They already paid for their salvation. But everybody's trying to steal their salvation from them. And the point is, if you ain't helping, then you're helping the enemy to steal their salvation. They already paid for it. Now everybody's trying to rob it. So when man rob God, they're trying to rob their salvation. And I'm trying to get the information to them so they can get their reward. They ain't got time for your BS. Don't have time for it. I'm not going to waste time with it. Like I say, you're with me or you're against me. If you're not out here helping, pushing this information to people, then get the hell out the damn way. Because I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to waste time with you. I don't have time with it for it. We're at war. If you don't understand that, then get back. But believe me, when people show up, when we come together, those people that have lost loved ones and everything because they didn't have information, how do you think they're going to look at you when you had information? You didn't do anything with it. Because your little emotions, your little analytical BS, and you should have knew better. How do you think they're going to look at you? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. We're at war. If you don't understand that, then get back. Step back. See? This is not a joke. This is not a game. See? Like I said, I didn't ask for this. But you see me doing it. You don't see me hesitating. You don't see me slowing down anything. You know? I put my health at risk messing around for the last few and I wasn't asked to do that. Because that's what the devil would love. He just showed my own health. Then I couldn't get the message out, could I? So I had to kind of back off a little bit. See? But then I had to rethink and calculate. I said, wait a minute, hold on, why am I messing with this and this? I'm putting water on this plant. I'm giving it sunlight. I'm getting fertilizer. Ain't producing any damn thing. They ain't doing anything. Just sitting there. What am I doing that for? So I'm not doing that anymore. I thought I could plant some seeds around there, right? And fertilize and put sunlight and everything on it, right? And I figured, well, I have more trees right here, so therefore, man, I could get more. And it wasn't working. I was just putting more water, more fertilizer, more sunlight, and it's just sitting not producing any damn thing, taking all my time up, all my energy. And that was my fault, because I was something I was trying to do. It didn't work. So I'm not gonna be worried about anybody's personal feelings and all that kind of stuff. You want to locked into that stuff, analytical stuff, and go ahead and get locked into it. That's your business. You deal with it. I'm out here to save my people. I wasn't here to deal with that with you. I know what my mission is, and I'm not gonna be caught lacking in doing my mission. It's a hard mission. I wouldn't volunteer for it. And if I could pass on someone else, I sure would. Like I said, I asked myself a lot of times, did I really break the 7 seals? Maybe I think I did, and maybe somebody else come along to do it. But ain't nobody else come along to do it, but time run out. They're going to do it. They got a lot to do in a very short time. I question myself a lot because I said, I can't believe it. I mean, 'cause I never expected to do any of this. I never expected this. Never something I've expected. Even though I had these visions when I was a child, I never really... I had them. I didn't know what to make of them. Now I see what they were, but I never had them. This is not something that I thought I was suited for or even wanted. You got these people running around talking about they just son of man, and they do they have any idea what that means? And they couldn't even if they was given a job, they would crumble a long time ago. They would have gave in. Look at Farrakhan. Look at what he was given. He crumbled right away. Soon as Elijah Muhammad departed, he crumbled right away. And now he's serving the devils. He got on his own website that you Pro, whatever they call it. It tells you what the devils wanted, and he did everything they wanted. He gave them everything they wanted. And how can you miss that one? Anyway, brother, says I'm gonna let it go. Right? We are at war. If you understand anything. But you're gonna understand in a minute. The problem is, right? Are you gonna be defeated in that battle before the battle even starts? Then when it starts, you're going to be defeated then because your ignorance, your stupidity, you're locked into that analytical, rebellious, critical, what do you call it, prideful thinking. Keep on with it. It's up to you. We're here to defeat the analytical mind. Wait a minute, let me back up because I don't want anybody to get misunderstood here. We are here to defeat the unbound analytical mind. That's that mind that's unbound by spatial thinking. Because Master Muhammad is the analytical mind, but he's bound by spatial thinking. See? That's why it says in this time it will be split. That's why you have the high priest, you have the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, and King of Kings, Lord of Lords. You have high priest and the God of God. One is analytically oriented and one is spatially oriented, but both are bound, right? But you have the unbound spatial, unbound analytical. Those, we don't want them. They're a problem. See, because you got the B and it is. The B is spatial mind and the is analytical mind. See. Master Muhammad is an analytical genius, analytical God. He's a master. Suleiman is a master of spatial. But that's the proof of it is the angel. Because no analytical mind could touch it. He said even the God couldn't do it. Can I tell you something? But then Master Muhammad is a master of tentacles. He got that wheel up there and no one could touch it. I couldn't build it. I understand how it works from a spatial point of view, but I don't look. I couldn't build it. I'm not technical. I'm not like that. I can't build. I got a car, and I don't. I mean, I understand the science and everything, how the car, all science, engine, how the whole thing works, the piston, I understand all that whole process. But I couldn't build a car. I'm not technical like that. But I understand the concept. I'm totally. You talk about a car, I can talk the concept. I go into engineering, how the engine works, the pistons, right, and all that stuff, right, the gears. I can explain all that mathematically, but I couldn't put one together. I couldn't build one. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. We're at war. And pretty soon, right, because the war is surrounding you right now, pretty soon it's going to be on your doorstep. The problem is they don't want you to know that until they cut your throat. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Hope I covered everything here. Let me just check. I think I covered everything. Let me check my thing right quick. I had something here that I was looking at here. Let's see. Let's see here. Here a couple of notes here. Let's see this now. Okay. I mentioned everything I wanted to mention, brothers and sisters. We are at war. No time for bullshit. See. Hope you're preparing. Like I said, I keep trying to point you. The timing is going to be that close. People are lost because of lack of knowledge. Because you're not going to be able to try to figure out when you're going to have, when the abomination of desolation happens, you're going to have to know what that is before it happens. You have time to call somebody, ask what is going on. You have to know. And then you have to be prepared, not thinking about it. Then have to go back and pack. You have to be prepared to leave immediately. You have to know where to go. That means you have to have this already has to be known. It can't be something you got to figure out. That's what we have to do. We're priming the pump. That's what we're doing. We're priming the pump, getting information out there, right? Because it's going to be in the back of their minds. Even those rejecting it still have it. And so when abomination of desolation start, when they false is under siege, it's going to come to the front of their minds. And they're going to be watching. They still won't believe it. They're still going to be on the front of their minds. It's going to be there. Because we put it there. And then when it goes down, they're going to know exactly what to do. Exactly. And they're going to make it gone. But if it ain't on their minds, then how will they know? And they don't even know what that's all about. Until somebody's cutting their throat. I hope you understand, bro, sis. We're at war. This is not game. Assalamu alaikum. Analytical versus the spatial. That's what it's all about. Analytical versus spatial. That's what's going on, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Assalamu alaikum. Focus.